Borrowing books made easy. We deliver books to your doorstep. Sign up now at mybookshelf.com.pk. Hi everyone. They say that feeding someone is the ultimate act of care and affection. Anyone who knows Samar will agree with me completely. Pinch & Co. is more than an eatery or a restaurant. It has brought a sense of adventure to the Karachi food scene. It has expanded our palates with an explosion of fusion, flavor and gastronomy. So let's talk some food with Samar Husain. Samar, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you've been kind of part of our journey from the beginning. I remember my bookshelf had its first book club at Pinch & Co.
That's right.
And you were really nice and you offered us the place like free of charge.
You can still use it free of charge.
Thank you. I'm going to take you up on that. And so you've always been really kind, and there are pretty few kind people who, you know, help others and help kind of new support, you know, new businesses. And I feel that is why it's so heartwarming to see someone like you kind of, you know, I've known you for so long, you've always been a foodie, and to see your kind of passion and profession align, you must feel very blessed.
I do actually. I really do. You're embarrassing me, but I feel very blessed. I'm very lucky actually. I realized I was talking to somebody yesterday and I thought, you know, very few people can do what they love to do. If I didn't love to cook, I don't think I would be happy, you know, and I enjoy it. And I can't believe I went through lots of different avenues, and I can't believe I ended up exactly where I needed to be.
True.
You know, and I left all of them. And I would always think, you know, you're not a serious person, Samar. You don't focus on things. You jump. But literally, when I came to where I needed to be, I've stuck it out. And I think also because I was older and more mature, I approached it better. But it's a huge, I'm sure you know with your stuff, it's a huge learning curve.
But was there like a transformative event where you were like, okay, I need to take this seriously? Okay.
Yes, there was. And actually, it came at a very strange time. The reason I started cooking was I got pregnant. And I also I mean, not that this is TMI, but like my husband just decided that he didn't want to have anything to do with anything. And I woke up at one point and I was like, I can't buy a pair of shoes for my daughter because I literally had nothing. You know, it was like dependence, mother dependence, husband dependence. And that was the point where my mother said, Samar, make sandwiches, send them to the salon. I was like, okay, 5 sandwiches went the first day, 10 the next day. And
I remember those sandwich days, yes.
And by the end of the week, Kamla, I don't know what it was, but it was 50, then it became 100, then it became 200.
Wow.
And literally whatever I had wished for that night, I was like, you know, I just want to get through these 9 months and get my kid everything that she needs myself.
Wow.
And I don't know how it happened. It just happened. And it was done. And those sandwiches, literally,
of course.
They gave me confidence at a very difficult time. They gave me the ability to do things for myself.
Wow.
You know, and get the independence that I needed. And it's been a struggle since then. It's not an easy business.
No, it's not.
And I have not taken an easy path. I could have, but I haven't.
No, you haven't kept it simple, like you're going there.
No, and that is something I'm rethinking now, because I think, you know, like life should be simple. You know, you should be able to enjoy it as well. But keeping that in mind, this was like, food gave me what I love to do. It gave me independence and it gave me hope as well, you know.
Absolutely.
So it was pretty powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, as you had mentioned earlier, like I want to know what it's like to be a woman in our kind of business community, and especially a single mom. I mean, with that kind of added pressure on you. And I don't know if our society and our business community is that conducive, or have you had like a positive experience?
I will always say one thing. I was very lucky. I came from a certain background. I came from a certain exposure. I came from a certain school where I had all the connections.
Yeah.
I lived a very privileged life.
Yes.
But I also lived a life where my father was, I was very lucky. He was very open. He never told me, I wasn't very conscious of being a woman. I know that sounds terrible, but he never said, this is your defined role. You have to be this, you have to be that. So what happened was I kind of grew up organically without any mental confines, right? And then I went to boarding school. Nothing was superimposed. I went to a female boarding school. They just told me, you can, take over the world if you want. In my head, I always think about it this way. Coming back to Pakistan was like being on a supersonic train and being hit by a massive steel plate.
Wow.
I just did not know how to survive. I did not know how to cope with the environment that was telling me that I really couldn't do it. They don't appreciate, it's not even women, they don't appreciate knowledge, they don't appreciate a lot of different things.
And change.
Yeah. And growth.
Yeah.
They don't encourage it.
My God. And discourage it, and if anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they discourage it by controlling, like not allowing simple things like, I don't want to say this, but like even I was teaching at Indus for 7 years. I just felt like it's an art school, right?
Yeah.
It was, I studied women in the arts. I did my concentration on it. And it was something I was like deeply passionate about. And I felt like they wouldn't allow the kids to explore like that inner part of themselves. But I think that's also religion, right? The religion creates a stoppage.
Certain boundaries.
It does.
Yeah.
And whereas I was questioning, using words that that I can't say on camera here, but there we were told, use those words, remove the shame. You know what I mean? Now here when I came back, the shame was so deeply inset that functioning within those boundaries became very difficult. It became so difficult that I remember teachers would scream at me from it's like a spiral, saying, Samar, tum kya padha rahi ho? Kar kya rahi ho? And I just said to them, I said, this is normal.
Wow.
Like this is what students should learn. It was a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
There was a petition written against me for showing that, and I just looked at them. I said, sorry, what? Like they don't want to. Yeah, that was the level of which like even growth was misunderstood. They didn't want to internalize. They wanted to create boundaries.
But the funny thing is that the children are imbibing everything anyways because of social media and YouTube. And if you look at the statistics, we are very much at par with everyone else as far as everything goes.
Absolutely.
But I guess the facade has to be pristine and proper.
That's
Piche
right.
jo karna hai karo.
That's right.
Just
yes.
For the face of it.
That is what I have a problem with, is just the facade. I think people should be real. They should be who they are. And
authentic.
That's right.
Yes.
And there should be a value attached to that. And we should be teaching that to our kids.
No, but then that's the thing. Like, speaking of that, like, are you, kind of transferring those values and ethics to your daughter?
Yes, absolutely.
And your mom has also been like a businesswoman, like Shaheen's is like a Karachi staple.
Yeah.
So you've come from a lineage of that.
Yes.
And how does your mom react when you want to push the boundary? And how do you react when your daughter wants to push the boundaries?
See, my mother is old school. She's from an army background. My grandfather was a colonel. Her belief is that you need a man to do things,
Which is most women of that generation.
Which is fine. That's her belief.
Yeah.
I am very stoically against that. So I clash with my mother on that. I said, do it yourself. You can do it. You can achieve whatever you want. Don't hold yourself back.
But did you have the change of heart after your own marriage ended, or was this something growing up you had this independence?
Kamla, I think it was, listen, I was 13. I was in America on my own. I didn't even know how to do my laundry. I did not even know the different coins that you needed to put into the washing machine to use. So you see, I had a huge learning curve. and there was nobody there to cushion. And this was actually, I'm not saying I had a difficult life, but I never had a cushion in my life. My parents got divorced while I was in boarding school, and they were never, it wasn't a very solid home. It was a very privileged home, but it wasn't like a solid home. So I think that independence came to me very early.
Okay.
I imbibed it. It became a part of me. I found a lot of solace in it. So this is something that, I mean, yes, my divorce, there were rules that I set for myself. You know, when my divorce happened, there was a line at which if I felt was crossed, I would draw the line. I'm very proud of myself for that. But it didn't make me more independent. I think part of the reason I got divorced was because I was so independent.
Got it.
ठीक है?
Yeah.
And I think that with my daughter, it's very tough for me right now to find the balance, you know, because I look at my mother and I think, you know, okay, she's old school. She's a particular type of woman. I see women around me, right? There's a balance. You don't have to be so independent, but you have to be open to being dependent as well. I'm not open to being independent.
Wow. So you recognize that about yourself.
Yes, of course.
And that level of self-awareness exists.
Yeah, and I'm very aware of it, and
Yeah.
I don't like it. I like to do things on my own.
Okay.
My daughter, I'm trying so that, you know, socially, like, she has to function in a society that maybe I chose not to recognize, and I chose to go my own path, and that had a cost attached to it. ठीक है ना? A very big cost. I don't want her to pay that cost unless she wants to. So there are no boundaries on what she wants to do. I encourage her to be independent. I encourage her to do things. But I remember somebody said this to me a long time ago. You know, she dropped something on the floor and she waited till her maid picked it up. And I said, Anushka, I said, pick it up yourself. So there was somebody behind me, and I don't want to take names, but she just turned around to me and she said, you know, Samar, you better wish your whole life, you should pray that somebody's always there to pick up after her. And that sort of stayed in my head for a bit. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I didn't have that, maybe she can.
Wow.
So it's this
it's like this balancing act. I know.
Yeah.
Like, you want your kid to be like you, but then you want them to be more.
Yeah, you do.
And then you hope that they don't have to face adversity.
That's
yet
right.
you want them to be ready for
That's
it.
right.
So it's I agree. As a parent, I think that's such a struggle for, like, I get it.
It really is.
And it's confusing.
Very.
And I think that confusion, especially I feel Karachi parents to a large extent, we kind of pass that on to our...
Unfortunately, we do. We do. And I think, again, you know, like you were saying, there are boundaries at every level, right? How you engage with those boundaries is... I don't even think they're real boundaries.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's all in your head.
And that's something I'm struggling with now, is that those boundaries, they don't really exist. So how do I, you know, raise my daughter, and do I tell her, you know, that she's got to fit in there, or can I just let her go free? I mean, and that's a little bit of the reason why I was thinking of moving away, because, you know, like, maybe it's not real, you know?
Absolutely. You know, you're like, so many women, especially single moms, have said this to me in the last few months, that we're thinking of moving away only so that their child could get a chance to be their authentic self and grow how they're supposed to, rather than within the confines of whatever culture or community. And so that's really sad in a way, but I guess it is what it is, right? You gotta
I think a lot of things have happened in Pakistan also. A lot of awareness about female issues, female power, lack of thereof.
Yeah, as you had said earlier, because of, I think, Zahir Jafar's case, I mean, this whole misogyny and patriarchy, it's just, we are just thrown into it, like, and you can't escape it. And thank God those conversations are happening, you know?
And we really need to deal with it. You know, it's something that is not, you cannot, I mean, for your own kids, you cannot chuck it under the table. We could, I suppose we dealt with it growing up, and it was so, like, normal.
Hush,
I mean, I don't even know how many times we would have dealt with it, like, on a normal basis, and just said, okay, you know, no big deal. But now there's this desire for change, which
Thank
is
God.
lovely. Yeah, I agree.
Great. And also, like, I also find it very interesting, like, you know, like food is kind of life, you know, it's equated to life. And yet people and women as well have such a, you know, complicated relationship with food, and many times very unhealthy relationship with food.
Yeah.
You know, the emotional eating and, you know, stress eating. And why do you think that is?
I think, you know, food is something that's pleasurable. You know, you find pleasure in it, or you
Absolutely.
seek pleasure in it. So it's also got that attachment of something sinful, something that you shouldn't do. And I think a lot of women, it's about, you read that Korean beauty standard
Oh
book,
my
right?
God.
So I think a lot of that exists in our society as well.
sure.
So it's just that being sort of pushed forward again. Rules, regulations. I'm supposed to look like this. I'm supposed to fit this bill in order to be successful, in order to find a man, in order to find a life. You see, it's about the value systems that we have owned, created, and perpetuate, that's created this terrible relationship with
Horrible.
food. It really is. I have a terrible relationship with food, and I mean, because I ate, because I had a stressful life, and you know, like it just ate. I know I hid. And today, the one thing that I realized is like, I want to look outside how I feel inside. So for me, that has changed how I eat, how I look, how I exercise. I think it's about being healthy. And I think there are not enough role models within our society. In fact, there are no female role models.
No, I don't think so.
There are none. And the creation of that is very important. Giving the information to everyone, not just to women, that, you know, like you can be healthy and still be loved, and still be successful, and still find a husband, and still have all these things. You see, those things, and that's also male related.
Of course.
So again, going back to where it has to all change, and the possibility
the
of
male
that,
and the male's mom.
yeah, the male and the
Who
male.
wants a certain
That's right.
type of daughter-in-law.
Yeah, she does.
With these ads, I mean,
Yes.
it's like so cringy.
Yeah, you've read them, right? They're crazy, some of them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what they want, you know. मुंह ऐसे होना चाहिए, काली नहीं होनी चाहिए, सफेद होनी चाहिए. You know, my daughter's like, I'm peachy. My daughter's a little dark, so she says I'm peachy brown.
Yeah.
I'm like, where the hell did you get peachy brown for? So somebody in her school told her that she was too dark, and that's not a good thing. And it really pissed me off, excuse my language, because I was like, why would you do that? But you can't control these things,
You cannot
right?
control these things, you know. So this whole kind of Eurocentric idea of beauty, but there is a change happening in the West.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
all these, you know, kind of plus size models and all these pop stars.
They are breaking it.
And thank God, because eventually I'm hoping it'll filter over here, you know. And this whole kind of diet culture, and the thing is, like, we are all guilty of it. Like, I'm guilty of it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, intermittent fasting, blah, blah, blah. I mean, so we're all part of the problem, and we're probably going to, like, perpetuate that with our kids eventually.
Yeah,
if the kid is
probably.
putting on too much weight, or you know, like, it's true. Like, we're transferring all those anxieties and all those insecurities onto the children.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, my ex-husband's
crazy.
family is always telling Anushka, she's too fat. Your parents are fat. You need to lose weight. Fat. And you know, like, it's terrible. Like, I don't know why they do it. Just let them be. They'll figure it out.
I think they will figure it out. Absolutely. And also, speaking of, again, like within the food industry, we've always kind of heard growing up that cooking is such like a woman's role, you know, in the home. Yet the industry and globally is dominated by men. And that's such a kind of dichotomy. I find that so interesting. Why do you think that is?
It's a very strange thing. I think it's just because you have like 12 to 15 men packed into a hot room, right? That it became
That sounds
something,
very scandalous.
It does, and it probably is to a certain extent. But they are like this, the heat of the space. I think women couldn't take that much heat. I think initially, like historically, I think that's what it was. Just
you
that
mean
kind of
physically? You mean those temperatures?
It's very, very hard being a chef. It's hot.
Yeah.
You're under constant amounts of pressure. there's very little outside the universe that you see. You're always stuck in a kitchen.
And you have no social life. Can you even have a social life as a chef? I mean, a professional chef? Because those hours where everyone else is out, you have to be
You're
cooking
dead.
for, yeah.
You're dead. We don't have lives. Okay, we work all day long. We are on call all day long. It's like being a doctor. It's actually a terrible profession. It's like I wouldn't choose it. My daughter said, I said never.
No
I said
way.
be whatever, be a lawyer, be a banker.
Yeah.
You are not being a cook.
That's crazy.
And she hates it, so I'm fine with that. But like, and I think that is primarily what created the shift. Also, the lack of social life means no men, no marriage, no, all those boundaries change. And I think that also is a reason why women wouldn't have done it. Now
sense.
there is a massive change. Okay? The change is that even in Pakistan, there is a huge influx of female chefs. And I'm saying this as a woman. I feel, and I've said this to them, I've hired and supported hundreds, like not hundreds, but as many as I could. But I always feel two things. Women in Pakistan, chefs in Pakistan are not serious. They are not committed. They don't have good work ethic. And I know this is criticism of my own sex, but I'm saying it very, very honestly because I feel like I'm looking for that one girl, literally, that will work with the same kind of dedication and focus. I have found them. But you see, they want to get married and then they want to have children, then they want to go. So then what happens is, as a restaurant owner, I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for somebody to depend on as well, because women also as restaurant owners are different.
Of course.
Okay, men don't mind coming and going. They have a different mental structure. As a female, I want to create a team which is sustainable. Like most of my chefs have been with me for 10, 15 years.
Of course, I've been seeing them for decades,
And everyone knows them, like they know them by name, they know them by person, whatever. So for me, that's really important. So now with women, I don't find that level of commitment. They're like, हाँ हम आएंगे, इतनी देर तक आएंगे, 10 बजे चले जाएंगे, 5 बजे चले जाएंगे. See, Kamla, you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't
Not
do
in
that.
This industry,
You cannot. And abroad, women have the rules are different, right?
Yeah.
There are phenomenal female chefs now. They work. Their work is exquisite.
Really.
They are just mind-boggling. Some of the best restaurants in the world have amazing female chefs now.
Amazing.
Claire Smith in London, she's got this restaurant called Core. Her work is just phenomenal. And she's one. There's one in California. They're now everywhere.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of beautiful work that they're doing and very strong work as well. But in Pakistan, there
I think
is
the
this
culture limits
Yes,
and
it
the
does.
hours that you have to keep as a chef. I think that, really limit women having to come, because it's true, a young girl coming and going 10, 11, 12, 1 baje, I think that would culturally be unacceptable.
That's the biggest issue. Like, I have a friend, Haya, and Haya is Pakistani, from a very good family. She went to a great school. She's working in 11 Madison, which is the #1 restaurant in the world, right? And she's Pakistani, and Haya is a tough girl, okay?
Wow.
When I see her, my heart goes boom, because that girl works like a dog. She can work like a dog. That's the kind of
dedication you need. Yeah.
And
so that's a tough, it's a tough one to find it over here.
And they don't stay here, right? They go abroad because they want opportunities.
Yeah, of course.
But having said that, there are young people graduating from Turkey. A lot of them come to Pinch and Co for internships, and we encourage it. There's a girl that I've got my eye on who's just going to graduate next year. She was phenomenal.
Wow.
She never used her parents कि मेरे अब्बा मुझे कह रहे हैं आने के लिए और मेरे शौहर मुझे ये कह रहे हैं. That I hate. Stand up. You see, part of the reason that I have a problem is my independent streak, right? I want everybody to have it. So I can't see, it's like having horse blinders.
Yeah.
And it makes me a very difficult person to to work with also, because I demand that.
Yeah.
When you don't give it to me, I can't.
You're not finding it cute at all.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I don't.
So, Samar, you've been pretty integral in kind of introducing Karachi to some really fun new flavors, like just cuisines like, the bao bun or the udon noodles or, gnocchi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how have we as Karachiites received these new flavors?
It's a double-edged sword. Very well on a very simple with a very simple response, and then with certain things, there's a little bit of what is it? You have to really explain.
You have to.
And I enjoy that though.
Yeah.
That's part of the thing, part of what I like to do.
Is that why you do the explanation of the menu videos?
Yeah,
I love those.
I do them because I realized that people along the way, I realized that people didn't understand the food, so they got scared coming in.
Yeah.
And they got scared ordering. And
we need to understand कि क्या खा रहे हैं.
Yeah. उसमें है क्या, हर चीज क्या है. So then I do this menu breakdown. I started in COVID because I wasn't being able to be on the restaurant floor. So it was like, okay, let me do it this way, and it sort of became something people really like.
Yeah, I love it.
And that works. Now they understand. Now udon has not become a staple only at Pinchinko. It's a staple.
No, now though it's really
growing.
But I'm saying you were one of the first people who had done those kind of,
We did.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a risk with Karachiites because we don't like to experiment at all.
No, we don't.
Like all our restaurants are...
वही मेन्यू चल रहा है and बस हमें वही चाहिए.
It makes no sense to me. Okay, like I go here, there. Like yesterday, somebody called me up, said like somebody starts the focaccia sandwich. I'm like forget it, let them, because they want chapa. It's like the ratta culture ingrained right into our soul, into our soul.
Non-adventurous. So that's what's interesting about sushi. Like growing up, like no one has sushi, raw fish, and then you for some reason go abroad to college, and then you're like having sushi every day.
And everybody's having sushi.
Now we're like obsessed with sushi. It's so funny. Yeah, we don't like to give, and we love to cook everything, whether it's the omelette or the steak. Paka ke bas
khatam kar do. Like there are rules about cooking chicken. Okay? So the chicken only has to be cooked to, I shouldn't be saying this, but 136, right? So here in Pakistan, they cook it to like 999. So they've taken out the juice of the chicken. They've taken out the flavor of the chicken. There's nothing left in it. Yeah. There's no nutrient left in it also.
We finished it, but we like it.
But you like it like that. I don't cook. I mean, we don't cook chicken like that, which is another thing. So, we cook our meat medium. People have a kacha de diya. I said, nahi khana, to nahi khaye.
Really?
Yeah, we're very like, people write that about us also. Yeah. But we do, flip it and give it to them. Yeah.
And like leading from that, like how do you deal with rude and offensive customers? Which, I mean, I can't even imagine what you must be dealing with. Like we're quite a rude, entitled bunch.
We're very entitled. That is something that I would like to change. It's like just the entitlement factor within a customer. But the rest of it, it's become, initially, we had customers screaming because food would run out, because we were a pop-up concept. That was really hard. But I don't shout at customers because I feel two things. A customer's feedback, the way I process it, is invaluable. It allows me to grow and change. And I tend to look at every criticism like that. I address and follow up on every criticism that we get. Because if it's something from my end, I have to fix it, and my staff is like that also. Like they die. They say कि अगर complaint आया ये हमारे सर पे चढ़ जाएंगी. But I don't look at it that way. There are certain complaints which I will not even listen to.
Okay, so you don't even entertain the ones that you think are just useless.
I will not. Like for instance, somebody complained the other day कि the smoked chicken, right? They complained about the smoked chicken. What was the complaint? कि उसमें smoke की खुशबू आ रही थी. I mean, how do you, what response can you give to how much response can you give to that,
What
right?
did you say?
Nothing. I just laughed and I just said, listen, let's just leave it at that. Right?
No, but what do you say to that?
Nothing. So you'll have one customer that will come in the morning saying, this is too spicy. Then you'll have another customer come in on the same time and say, it's not spicy enough.
Yeah.
So, those kinds of complaints, right? What customers need to understand is, look, food is made the way I like it. It's my restaurant. If you don't like it that way, tell me and we can adjust it immediately if you're in the restaurant. If you're not in the restaurant, then, next time, make sure that when you order, say, I don't want this or I don't want that. Because we have a kitchen that's open.
And you guys are very compromising. Like, I've called in, I'm like, look, these are 3 sandwiches, but my mom doesn't want it spicy.
Yeah.
But they've always kind of acquiesced. And,
if we can, we will do it. Because that's the way it should be, right? And that's the difference between us and a lot of restaurants, that we are very bespoke. So you can actually tailor us, tell us, and we'll listen and we'll sort it out. But I mean, with other people, I really feel bad for certain servers and
they get the brunt of.
They do. Yeah. It's really tough.
And it's horrible, just in life to see someone being rude to, the concept of being rude to the waiter. Yeah. It's just an extremely kind of cringy experience.
It's very unkind.
Witness. Horrible.
It's very unkind because he has as much control as you do as a customer.
Yeah.
And and people make mistakes. And I'm not trying to justify their mistakes, but they just make mistakes.
Yeah. That's life.
And it is.
Yeah.
So just be kind. Just be nice.
We've come back to the kindness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Factor.
I love that as a word. It's it's such a nice, warm word, right? Yeah. If you are kind to someone, they will be kind to somebody else. And it's like,
pay it forward.
I love that. I love that
it's
concept.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Korean stuff, since I know
this is the worst. This is the worst. That's my biggest.
So you're obsessed with everything Korean.
I am.
So I'm assuming it has filtered into your food. Is it going to be filtering into other aspects of your life? Are you planning a trip there?
We are.
Have you learned the language?
I am learning the language.
Yeah, I knew it.
Through I've learned a lot of the language already.
Yeah.
My daughter's fluent in Korean. Yeah, she can fluently speak Korean, understand.
Because of the Korean shows you guys watch.
She's young, right? So she just picked it up from the TV show.
I can't believe
it.
I love it.
She's learning to write now.
Wow.
And it's pretty. It's
interesting.
It's really infiltrated our lives in a very sad and embarrassing way. But it has breakfast, lunch, dinner. Even in the restaurant right now, certain things are staple.
Yeah.
Like gochujang, which is the Korean paste, and then Korean chili powder. The language, after 8 o'clock, if you walk into the house,
into a Korean household.
There's my daughter and my mother watching one drama. There's me watching another. It's it's bad. They're severely.
What do I say?
You have not watched one as yet.
No, I tried watching Crash Landing on You, and it was too goody two shoes. I couldn't.
Okay, no, but then you need to watch a different type.
Okay, fine. But I watched Squid Games. I love Squid Games.
So there you go, right? Yeah. I mean, that's not the most... I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Because I saw the first episode and it was just so violent.
It's very violent.
And actually with Korean dramas, they're very psychological, right? So they address all these issues, like kindness, all these issues in very different ways.
So I've heard,
they focus on, that's what I like about them.
But I have been reading I read a lot of Korean literature.
It's incredible literature.
That's fascinating. Their obsession, especially their obsession with beauty.
Yeah,
it's the double lid and the single lid and how that's a thing, and their facial surgeries at 13, 14. I mean, it's such a...
They do
crazy,
that. It's not healthy.
Not
I think
at all.
That part
but
of
it's
their
fascinating to read that this is kind of culture that's just thriving on the beauty business.
It's huge. It's massive.
Huge.
No, but I think it's very interesting. The way their society is set up is very interesting. They're very simple. They function on morality, and I just find that very interesting. It's very easy to understand. Also, I don't know if you've read any Korean literature, but even their sentence structures, I don't know if you've read. They're very small, very
and to
simple,
the point,
very to the point, like very Hemingway,
yes.
tuck, Thak thak, and I like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's a different way to write. You know,
Okay.
I enjoy that about them. So you know, I like.
No, we know.
I like the growth factor. I mean, even the visuals. Like so many of my friends are watching Korean dramas because of me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it's okay.
No, that's great. So now let's do some rapid fire. How come you never make Pakistani food?
I do, and I do in the
Really?
restaurant as well. Yes,
Oh,
I do.
I've never had it.
But
I'm surprised.
But I don't make. But you're right. I don't make Pakistani food because I never had to. 'Cause
Okay.
There was always somebody there to make
I
it.
see.
When the somebody went away, the
Then
Pakistani. Yes,
Pakistani.
absolutely.
Okay, fine. Karachi or London?
Definitely London.
Okay. Yeah, okay. What is more important, talent or hard work?
Hard work.
Okay, agreed. How important is it for a girl to have like a good group of girlfriends?
I don't think it functions without a good group of girlfriends. I don't think life is worth anything without them either.
I agree completely. One thing you wish you could change in your life or about yourself?
About myself?
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't so particular.
Okay. Like OCD type?
Severe.
Okay. Well, that's
Severe.
helped you professionally,
Yes, it
hasn't it?
has. A
So
lot.
in a way, it's,
Yeah.
you know, blessing.
It's a blessing, but it's also a hard blessing on everybody else.
Around, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And when are you calling me over for
Whenever
food?
you want to come. Whenever
I'm
you
just
like.
gonna barge
Yeah,
in
you guys
to your-
have to come.
to your house.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
lovely, great.
Actually, it's about time
Yeah,
now.
I think it is.
I think
now,
with COVID
everything's
over,
open,
yeah,
and now we need
it's
to
time
get
to
back.
do it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Samar, this was so much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
For everyone else, if you guys haven't yet been to Pinch & Co, you are seriously missing out. It's like the best gourmet cuisine in the world. Love it, and hope you enjoyed our episode. See you next week.